Man, Alderman work session. Today is October 6, 2022. The time is 8 a.m. All aldermen are present except for Alderman Alder is out and Mayor Wisnat is out. Everyone else is present. At this time, I'm going to open with a short prayer and then we'll move into the meeting. Lord, we thank you for this day to come back and do your business. God, we just pray you be with each one of us. Pray, God, to be with our city. Pray, Lord, you always be with our workers of our city that keeps everything working good. All of them, Lord, we just thank you for them. God, we just pray you be with the folks in Florida with terrible situations that they're dealing with. Pray, God, you be with those first responders and all the people who've been affected down there by this hurricane. Lord, we just pray that whatever we do in this meeting would be in your will. Lord, we just thank you for these breakfast has been provided this morning. In Jesus' name, amen. First on the agenda would be the review of the 9/08/2022 work session minutes. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at that?
Yes.
Everybody good with it? All right. We'll move on under department reports. The first one would be Public Works.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are y'all? First one is the changing of the street name on DeSoto Street. Last month it was asked if we get all the, we left one property owner out on it. And we have that now and it's approved provided.
Any comments?
This was brought through the Public Works Committee, and the only thing lacking was that one resident over there that had controversy over the ownership of it. So all that's been signed now.
Okay. Anybody got an issue with carrying this on to the board meeting to act on?
No.
All right, we'll carry this on to the board meeting. The next is the downtown sidewalk cost estimates. This is for information only at this time, but we are moving forward. So this is some good information. Go ahead.
You've been provided by Croy an estimated cost. Personally, I think it's real cheap.
Okay.
But all one goes by their numbers right now.
Okay.
Might add that this is preliminary as well,
This
because
is
there's
all-
going to be some more additions added to this.
Yeah, this is preliminary. There will be some added to it. And of course, by the time your bids come in, you don't really know what things going to bid at. But the area that just covers, is 5 different areas, just for the public's benefit, for to know. Now, this is only information. We won't be carrying this on for any action. South Main is covered over on the west side in front of the furniture store. There's been some safety issues. And then the rest of what's covered in these estimates is around the square. The 4 blocks right around the square, all 4 sides. The estimates came in a lot lower than what we anticipated, but as a matter of caution, there's still a lot of work to be done. So as we move forward, we'll get, I'm sure these numbers will probably change, and by the time you bid it, you know the numbers is more likely going to change. So, but it is progress. We are seeing progress on that by getting to this point. If there's anybody got any comments on this? Okay.
I'm like Eddie, I know these are preliminary, but these are real inexpensive compared to what I thought it would come in at. So hopefully, we're not going to be just totally shocked out of the water, but I'm just excited to get started with it because this went into the bond issue in 2019. So I'm excited to get started about it.
And also, we will be talking about this a little bit later now. We had a big project. Our biggest project that we've done was this North Street project drainage, which has been in the plans for about 4 years probably. And it's completed, and it came in under budget. So I'd have to wait and let Jamie speak to that because she has all those numbers. But you have anything else, Eddie?
Just on the William D. Jones. We spoke with Tony Gross. He was waiting on us to issue the contract. And I did ask him how long it would take him to complete it. He said, just depends on when y'all get me a notice to proceed. He said, I've got to order all the concrete structures for it. And I can't order them until he gets that.
Okay.
So I told him we were waiting on the state, and we didn't know when we'd get it.
Okay. Well, we'll have to leave that with Kevin. He's dealing with the state.
Yes, and we do expect, my last conversation with Kat, she said we should get it within the next 2 weeks, and that was earlier this week, so.
Okay. I will say this, Eddie normally tells us this, he's got job openings at the city Public Works. If you know anybody looking for a job, wants to work, send them on down.
We interviewed 7 last week, offered the 4, and we're going to be lucky if we get 1 out of it.
Well, unfortunately, that's just situation that we're dealing with.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thank y'all.
Police Department.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have 3 events I need for your approval. I got the Trunk or Treat, October 26th. I got the Fear Not Fest event, October 31st, and the Host Christmas Pass, November 11th. That's my report.
Anybody got any issues with number 1?
No.
We'll move that forward. Any issues with number 2?
Where is this event going to be?
Which one? It's going to be over there at the parking lot, that new parking lot that's fenced in.
Oh, that's
over there by
right.
Stonebridge Park. It's going to be
That's
in that
right.
area.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody got any issues with moving forward number 3? And I think this will be, I don't know, 27, 28 years?
30, I think.
30?
Something last
Yeah, it's a lot of, we've got a lot of years on that. So we'll move all 3 of these forward for action to the board meeting. Is there anybody here from the fire department?
I will be giving that report.
Okay. Do you have anything else, J.C.?
No, sir.
Okay.
Good morning. Chief Kimbrough is out training today, so I will be giving the fire department report. But he did want me to bring that we will have an open office with firefighter Mariah Smith. And also Roger Bates has been in conversation about allowing the old fire truck to be on display for Christmas, for the Host of Christmas Pass. So that is an information only item, but we did want to bring it before the board this morning.
Okay.
That's all he had for me to report on.
Is everybody okay with number 1, moving it all forward?
Yes.
Mr. Smith. The number 2 is for information only. Did anybody have any comments on that or questions?
Is that the one that we moved back to the museum? Okay, that's mauled.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess the question would be, where do they want to set this fire truck
It
up?
will be at the museum, so they're gonna move it out. Mr., I forget his name, I'm sorry, at the museum, showed me the site, but it's gonna be on the north side of the museum. They're gonna put it on display.
Do they have an arrangement for someone to move it?
They're supposed to, Chief Kimbrough and I are supposed to talk with them about the logistics of it early next week, but they're supposed to move it, but we wanted just to make sure everything was safe for the move.
Okay.
Because I do understand there was issues with the brakes, so we wanted just to check the logistics of it before they decide to move it.
Okay. All right.
Is that, Mr. Owens, is that Roger Bates, who you're referring to?
Yes, sir.
Kind of taking that on as a
Yes, sir.
project?
Yes, sir, he's leading that.
Okay.
Yes, but the other gentleman at the museum, and I apologize, I can't remember his name, Bob, who works at the museum.
Mr. Stidfold.
Stiffel, yes, thank you, thank you.
I believe Roger used to be a fireman, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, Roger was a fireman here for a lot of years. Okay, you have anything else, fire department? Okay, we're ready for Parks and Recreation. Mr. Brian Carter.
Good morning.
Morning.
We passed through committee Tuesday morning, and we were wanting to purchase new tables and chairs for the recreation center. Our tables and chairs, they're old, some are missing, and we're in need of some new ones. And we're looking at a price of about $9,697.36.
And I believe Jamie said that you had some funding somewhere you could maybe fund.
There is some funding left in the ARPA funds
Okay.
that could cover that purchase if
It can be used for this,
Yes, sir.
okay, all right. All right.
Any of those old tables they'll be retained?
Yes, we are going to keep those, and for outside events, we have some people that usually come in and borrow those. That's what we would use those for.
Okay.
And how many tables are we looking at here?
We're looking at 25 tables.
25?
25 tables and 200 chairs and dollies to go for each.
Okay. Has anybody got any
No.
reason to not move that on? So we'll move that on to the board meeting in order to take action on it. You have anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Planning and Codes, is there someone here from Planning and Codes? Okay, here we go. Planning and Codes.
Good morning.
All right.
Okay, I'm just going to do a quick overview. The building permits, 8 permits were issued in September. Total permit fees were $1,779. The date for the contractors forum is set for Thursday, November 17th. Ms. Carolyn Linsby will be the speaker. She is the executive director for the Board of Licensing and Contractors. Dixie Smith will bring a representative to talk about workers' comp. Jack Williams received his residential plumbing certificate on Tuesday, September 27th. Property maintenance, we had 2 court hearings on September 29th. The first was for Empire Homes. They did not show up, so the judge's ruling was $50 a day recurring fee until they are compliant with all their property maintenance issues. The second one was for the Old Children's concrete plant. Mr. John Hill is going to try to set up a site meeting with them and their lawyers to kind of go over what issues that need to be corrected. Okay, so we're going to go on to the Planning Commission officer election. Chairman is Eric Jones, Vice Chairman Rovina Wade, and Secretary Dr. Mike Harry. Tidal Wave subdivision revision was approved. They just took their one lot and divided off a section. No plans for that yet. I'm sure sometime in the future they will let us know what's going to go on. The Ashley Benson Daycare site plan only was approved. The Lincoln Triangle subdivision revision was a minor plat, and they had to make it an independent lot. The Patrick Rehab had to be on its own lot, and it has to do with the Huntsville Hospital taking over. And Christy Gentry attended the TCECD Governor's Conference on September 19th and 20th. She really enjoyed that. And then the last thing is the home grant. Tia Lockridge completed all the assessments, and now they're just waiting for approval from the state. And then sometime toward the end of October, they will start on the houses that were approved, and they will continue working until all the funds have been used. That's it.
Okay. Anybody got any questions? Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome.
IT, Mr. Zach.
Good morning. No action items this month, just a report on a couple things going on in IT. The police department is currently in the process of having a new piece of software that they're going to be using for court proceedings over there. The software is called OmniCourt. Lucas and I made a couple adjustments to the PD server in anticipation of that being installed. At this time, the software and the SQL databases have been installed and they're configured, and employees are currently going through training for use of the software. Last month we had our annual cruise-in event, and during that I replaced the iPad point-of-sale system that we had been using for a couple years called ShopKeep. I replaced it with Square. We were having some issues with ShopKeep handling card payments, so I went ahead and switched over to Square. and I was told that software worked out great. And also, we're saving money by going to this because there's no monthly fees, just the card transactions. Like whenever there's a card payment, it takes a percentage off of that, which we were already paying with ShopKeep. So we end up saving money in the end with that. Also, all the previous transactions that had been made in ShopKeep, I went ahead and archived those. So I've got 3 years of previous transaction data that if it was ever needed, we'd have a record of it if we ever had to go back and look at something. Other than that, I finished studying all the material for my Security Plus test. Still reviewing the material. Not scoring where I want to on my practice test yet. I'm kind of making like 75, 80. Trying to score 90s on that before I take the real test. Other than that, that's all I've got.
Okay. Anybody got any questions?
Zach, on the Square, that point of sale, the percentage that's charged, will that be
It's the same.
payment? A payment of that percentage will come from the city, is that correct? Or is it passed on to the buyer?
I don't know the exact answer to that.
It goes to the buyer.
To the buyer. So it's kind of like where you're going into stores now. I know a lot of stores, if you use your credit card, it's anywhere from a 3 to a 5% charge. And so we're not going to be at that percentage, but the buyer will be.
I believe it was at 2.35% is what it was taken off of a transaction.
Okay.
But we were already paying that with ShopKeep, so really it evens out. But on top of that, there was a monthly, it was like $220 a month while ShopKeep was running that we also had to pay. Square doesn't require that, so we automatically save money there.
Great, thank you.
Their reports are really good on what you can pull down as far as transactions, because I've already pulled down what we needed to reconcile with what we received from the cruising when we did the bank and the deposit.
And I know that Main Street also uses that for their events. So that's really good that,
It's a very popular software.
Correct.
I'm glad to be using it versus ShopKeep.
yeah, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, next, thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
Next up will be Jamie, but I'm going to ask Jamie to speak on one more thing. It's not on the agenda. If she doesn't have, I'm going to add a number 8 here to her report, but if she doesn't have the numbers in front of her, then she can just kind of give a general overview of kind of how the Norris Street project kind of ended up. You don't have to have the exact numbers, but just so they'll know that we came in pretty good. But we got several things here that Jamie will be covering, and any questions can be directed to her or the city administrator, and this would move forward. So we'll go with number 1, Jamie.
Okay. Number 1 for the North Main Drainage Project, for recommendation for that, I would recommend that come out of the bond fund.
Okay.
Because the estimate for that has been, that we received is $84,238. The engineering portion of that has already been coming out of the bond fund. So we did, since you've mentioned the Norris project, we have received or came in under budget for that. For the SJ&L portion, the budget was $1.5 million, and we've come in at 1.44.
Okay.
So we've received a savings just for that portion, and then the rest of that's been Croy. So I don't have the final
Okay.
numbers because
Right.
Croy is still doing some of their work. But just the SJ&L portion has come under budget of what the original budget plus the 15% contingency.
Okay.
So we do have enough savings between that to pretty much cover items 1 and items 2 if they're close to what the estimates are.
Okay.
So I would recommend that number 2 for the Dunn Roman, that's estimated at $47,299 to also come from the bond
Okay.
fund.
Now, we need, these projects has already been bid, but what this is about is we need to carry both of these to the board to vote where to pull those funds from.
Correct.
Because we're trying to be very careful on letting the board know and letting the board have a say and make a final determination on where to pull the funds from, either the bond issue just a general fund.
Correct.
So both of these needs to go to the board. Is there any comments or questions on either one of these?
Mr. Vice Mayor, if I may add, just to let you know, they're both under current bid process.
Right.
Bid day is opening Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah, and these numbers could change. These, we got estimates here. So both of these, number one and number two, should be on the agenda Tuesday night, not to go to bid, but for the board to decide where to pull those funds from to fund them. Number three.
Okay, this is a change order for taxes. When the project was awarded for Don Davidson, the taxes were not included in the bid. The award was $686,000, and that did not include the $19,506 for the sales tax. So
Yeah.
this is what that $19,506 is.
I had some questions on that one, but the city administrator called me and clarified that, because I did have some questions on that, and I guess other people did too. But the city administrator did call me and clarify that, and I would like for him to comment on that, please.
Yes, sir. So when the bid was issued in April 29th, it was printed within the bid, which is not a normal practice, that there was not sales tax to be included. So when the bid did go out, there was a stipulation that sales taxes were not included in the bid price, which was an oversight, expecting that, bids will be submitted with sales taxes. So that's how it was approved.
All right. So you determined that, in fact, we would be responsible for this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. According to,
State rules, yes, sir.
any comments or questions on that?
I do have a question on that, Mr. Owens. I guess maybe at the Finance Committee, it came up that the consultant did not catch this, or who were you referring to?
So in the bid specs, it was a clause in it. When we went back and looked in it, it was a clause in it that said no sales tax. If in normal circumstances, sales taxes should be included in bids. So, I think it probably was just a lack of communication. That's something was a lesson learned, that we're going to look for it in all bids from now on. But it's not a normal practice, but it was included in it when we went back to look at it.
So when we accepted this, contractors accepted the no tax included?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And two, as we move this on, if there's any more questions between now and Tuesday night, because I had some questions on this in finance. I really did. But it's been explained to me. I knew we owed it. In the finance meeting, I could determine that, yeah, we owe that all right enough. But we got a bottom line number here to look at too. So, but I did get it explained to me. So is it okay to move it on Tuesday night, act on? All right, we'll move it on. The next two is from the city school system, and we get these every month. But go ahead with the next one, Jamie.
Yes, sir.
Number 4.
Number 4 and number 5 are pass-through grants for the school system, so they will come in and go out through our books, but they are for the school system's grants, so they are just pass-through grants for us.
Yeah, we don't pay this.
Correct.
Which is none of our. We, as a city, on this dome project, is what a lot of this is about, and they've got some remodeling going on at the school too. But as a city, the bottom line is we own that school system. That is, they can't even do a bond issue. FPU can't do a bond issue. They've got to come through the city because it's all owned by the city. So we have to approve all of these. And really, to me, that's a good thing, because you got two entities looking at it. We're looking at it, and the city school system's looking at it. So I think it's a safety net in a way. So number 4 and 5, y'all okay with moving that on and acting on both of them? All right, number 4 and 5. All right, this next one, somewhat complicated. A little above my head, but we got Jamie to explain it to us. And number 6.
Okay. Number 6 is our first budget ordinance for 2023. The first portion is 152,624. That's for streets, which is to cover the William D. Jones. That's already been approved, but this is to capture or update our budget to reflect what's already been approved from the board. The second line also has already been approved. That $2,350 includes $1,650 for the chamber and then $700 for Camp Blunt. The third line is $186,464. That is for the contract addition for, I'm sorry, which project is that? For the Don Davidson. In the 128, which is your grant fund, there was $500,000 that was budgeted. So this is that addition from the $686,000 contract that was awarded. So this will actually make the contract award and the budget match. So this is what that addition is for. And then the last line is $224,936. What this is requesting that due to us not having our ARPA funds revenue right now in hand, this is requesting to move the difference between what we have in cash and bank in the grant fund, which is $294,569. That portion, which is $205,430, and then the additional $19,506, which is how you get to your $224. Moving that from your grant fund over to the general fund to cover that until we get our anticipated our revenues in from the ARPA, so that if any invoices come in before we get our ARPA funds, we're okay to expend those as needed. And then once the ARPA funds come in, we can do a budget amendment and move that back to the grant funds.
Okay, so basically it's just having funds in place where they need to be
Correct.
and by law.
Yes.
And then anything we need to do later, we'll come back and do it.
Correct. So once the ARPA funds are received, we'll come back to the board and come back to the committee and then move those back to where they need to be accordingly.
And I don't remember, Zach, if we got half of those funds up front, that means there's over $1 million still coming.
Yes.
$1,040,something thousand, I believe.
You received $1,045,000 last year.
Right.
And out of that, $744,000 was spent for FPU for the poles and some of the lighting. And then $3,500 for some of the administration funds, which left you the $294,000.
Okay. So we anticipate another.
The exact portion.
Exact
Yes,
amount,
correct.
so,
But the
okay.
timing is an unknown at this point.
Yeah, okay. Anybody got any questions? Well, okay, we're moving this on. All right. This next one is, well, it's kind of common, what cities does. Resolution R 2022-11. Go ahead with that, Jamie.
Yes, sir. This is a request to add surety bonds for 4 individuals for the city, which would include the city administrator, the mayor, the vice mayor, and the city finance director to cover for coverage for writing checks. That would be due to our charter. It shows in our charter that it needs to be covered to at least $100,000.
Yeah.
So the cost for that would be $1,800. Yes, $1,800.
Okay.
So per our charter, that has to come to the board for approval.
Some of those names will be on those, they'll be able to sign checks, all of them maybe?
Right now, it's the mayor and the city administrator, but
Okay.
in the absence of either of those, the vice mayor can step in the mayor in
Okay.
his absence, the way the charter reads.
Okay.
And then the city treasurer can also sign.
My name will not be going on the bank thing to sign because I've only got 30-something days maybe as vice mayor, so there's no point.
Well,
So,
we
you
do
know.
not have it set up where it's individual names. We have it set up per
Okay.
position. So
Okay.
that way,
All right.
it does not have to be changed at any point. So if
Those
there's any-
positions have to sign that card at
They will, but
Right.
the bond covers it per position.
okay. But it wouldn't be any reason for me to sign a card because I only got 30-something more days, so whoever the new vice mayor going forward be the one to sign the card. No, there'll be no point being. So, okay with carrying that on?
I do have one question for Jamie. Jamie, did we have a surety bond in place prior to this?
There was, there's currently one in place for the city administrator.
Only.
Yes, ma'am.
And so this bond will add three additional positions.
We have coverage for individuals who take in cash throughout the city, so that is covered with our insurance coverage. But these additional three positions currently do not have surety bonds, only the city administrator. So these are new coverages.
So it'll be the city administrator, the mayor, the vice mayor, and finance director.
Okay. And I believe the city clerk, is that, the city administrator cover the city
Serves
clerk
as the city
position?
clerk.
Okay, doubles up kind of, okay. All right. Anybody else got anything for Jamie on any of this? Jamie, you've done a good job. Appreciate it. We move on to Mr. Kevin Owens' part, and number one is the animal control contract.
Good morning again. Yes, the first item is the animal control contract, and just an update, there's a proposed month-to-month contract in your package today. We did meet this past Monday following Public Works meeting, and we had representatives from the Humane Society as well as the county and the city, as well as the lawyers representing all three entities, and we proposed a temporary contract until we can work something out. In our next conversation, which we're planning setting up a date now, we're going to look at bid options, but we needed coverage, and I think all three parties had agreed to be able to move forward with a month-to-month. I know Ms. Kite is in the room. I don't know whether the Humane Society has had their final approval, but the county did approve in the Finance Committee on Tuesday.
Anybody got an issue with moving this forward Tuesday night?
I don't have an issue with moving it forward, but on this, while we're under this, if this passes a month to month, will there still be ongoing negotiations of getting a?
Absolutely. We have not stopped negotiations. What we did, we came in the room, and I thought it was a productive meeting, but we came in the room and we thought, issues, I mean, they were, they've been years, so we knew we could not totally control everything, but we had some agreements on some points to look at, and so it will continue going on. As a matter of fact, when I talked to Mayor Newman on yesterday, we're trying to set a meeting for not next week, but the week afterwards. So within the next 2, maybe 3 weeks, with all parties that were there.
I believe I saw in here too, they will continue to do animal control.
Right.
In the meantime.
I mean, we're just extending.
So basically, they'll continue to do what they've been doing, looks like.
Yeah, does this contract, and maybe I didn't read it correctly, or it's kind of a lot to take in. Was the repairs settled on who, say if something happened to the building during this month to month, is it specified who is responsible for the repairs?
No, we didn't put any of those terms in the temporary contract, but we are continuing. I know the county's person has been out within the last few weeks or whatever, assessing, and we're working on getting our person out. It's even now, we had never stopped. For example, they had air conditioning problems, and when it was really warm, we still tried to work to see with them, but how that is done and all of that, that's going to be a part of the permanent contract, but we're still working with them.
Okay. I pray nothing happens, but
Me too.
it
too.
seems
Well,
like
number 4 addresses that some. It does say number 4 during the interim period. Well, you got to read it there. I don't have to read it to you. But it does address that to an extent to where if they have issues, they could come to the city and county. And it's the city and county's responsibility to look at those issues and take them serious.
Yeah, it is still our building, so
Yeah.
we still
Yeah,
some responsibility.
yeah. So it is. Anybody got any problem with moving this on? No. All right, we got one more resolution. This is something to me is very important. And Kevin, you got that one too.
Yes, sir. So this is with a partnership with the FPU, but the resolution is the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, TDEC. So these are some funds for drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater. That is about $1.4 million and $70 and $191. And this is what FPU is applying. They're going to be having total responsibilities of it, but they're applying it, and they hope to coincide this with the sidewalk repair if received. So part of what they want to do is go and underground and do some of the repairs within for the utility lines. And this resolution would be in support. City has no financial obligation. We just sort of the person responsible, or the entity responsible for it.
Anybody got a problem moving it on? Let's pass through. You got anything else, Kevin?
No, sir.
This meeting's adjourned.